I created a fake profile to test my boyfriend's loyalty, which makes me sound like every paranoid nightmare story you've heard. But here's what nobody understands. I wasn't just being jealous or controlling. I was collecting evidence of something I knew was happening. Now my entire friend group thinks I'm a sociopath, Marcus won't speak to me, and I lost my apartment because I couldn't afford it alone. What people don't realize is that by the time I made that fake account, I'd already been watching him for 7 weeks through 3 other profiles, and the worst part, the part that makes me genuinely sick, wasn't that he failed the test. It was whose pictures I stole to make it. My parents divorced when I was 12 because my father spent 3 years having what he called emotional friendships with women online. My mother found the messages by accident, nothing explicit, just daily good mornings and late-night venting sessions that should have been hers. She told me once, trust isn't about what people do when you're watching, it's about what they do when they think you're not. I carried that into every relationship like a war wound. When I met Marcus at a friend's gallery opening, he seemed different. He left his phone face up on tables, never took it to the bathroom, knew all my friends by name. For 6 months I felt safe. Then I noticed he was getting Instagram notifications from someone named Lena at 2 a.m. He'd swipe them away fast when I was near. I told myself I was being crazy, that old trauma was talking. But one Tuesday while he was in the shower, his phone buzzed 3 times in a row. I stared at it for 60 seconds, then picked it up. The preview showed heart emojis. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped it. I didn't unlock it, I'm not a monster, but I memorized Lena's username before setting it back down. That night, after Marcus fell asleep watching a movie, I created my first fake account. Sarah M89, generic blonde avatar from a stock photo site. I told myself this was boundary setting, not violation. I was just going to see if he'd accept a request from a stranger. He accepted within 3 hours. The hook at 7% hit when I realized I'd stopped checking my own notifications and was refreshing Sarah M89's inbox every 15 minutes, living for the moment he'd message first. When he didn't, I sent something casual, just a reaction to his story about his dog. He replied with a smiley face. That tiny pixelated expression felt like a confession. I started timing my gym sessions to when he posted, so I could justify my immediate views. I told myself I was gathering data points, building a case. But really, I was already addicted to the performance. By the 10% mark, I decided one account wasn't enough. What if Marcus only responded to Sarah because she was blonde? Maybe his type was brunettes. Maybe he had a pattern. I created Maya designs using photos of a barista from a coffee shop across town, someone I'd never met but whose public profile was wide open. I used her latte art photos, her morning commute shots. This is where the dramatic irony started building, because while I thought I was being clever, I was actually manufacturing the exact betrayal I feared. Marcus followed Maya back but didn't message. For 2 days, nothing. Then I sent him a DM about his photography. He'd posted a landscape shot from our weekend hike. He thanked me politely. I pushed, your girlfriend's lucky, my ex never took me anywhere. He replied, I'm sure you'll find someone who appreciates you. No mention of me, no deflection. I took a screenshot and stared at it until my vision blurred. At 13%, my actual friend Sarah, my real Sarah, texted, you've been weird lately. Are you and Marcus okay? I almost told her. My thumbs hovered over the keys, ready to confess the whole insane project. Instead I wrote, fine, just tired. The first external person had noticed my behavior, and I lied to her face. This is when the small consequences started piling up. Marcus mentioned his sister was visiting, asked if I wanted to come to dinner. I said I had a work thing. Truth was, I needed to be home to monitor both fake accounts. I'd become a puppet master who couldn't leave the theater. The truth bomb at 15% came when Marcus posted a photo of us at a restaurant, our 3-month anniversary dinner. Lena liked it immediately, then commented, you guys are adorable. I felt my throat close. This wasn't a threat. This was someone who knew about me, someone he talked about me to. I checked Sarah M89's messages. He'd sent nothing since that first exchange. Maya Designs had gotten a brief thanks and then silence. The pattern wasn't what I thought. He wasn't a predator casting a wide net. He was a guy with a friend who texted late. But instead of seeing this, I doubled down. I created a third account that night, Alina V, using photos of a woman from a fitness forum. I gave her a whole backstory, recently moved to the city, trying to make friends, into rock climbing. I knew Marcus loved climbing. This felt strategic, not sick. That's what I told myself. At 18%, I committed the first act I truly knew was wrong. While Marcus was asleep, I used his laptop. He'd left it open on the coffee table to check his email, not just glance. I systematically searched for Lena's name, for dating app notifications, for anything. I found receipts for a surprise weekend getaway he'd booked for us. I found an email to his best friend asking for advice on really serious rings. I sat there at 3 a.m., reading proof of his devotion and felt nothing. I'd already decided he was guilty. Evidence of innocence didn't fit the narrative, so I kept digging until I found an old folder labeled work stuff. Inside were photos of a woman I didn't recognize, vacation pictures, birthday candles, his arm around her. All dated 2 years ago. I screenshotted them with shaking hands. By 22%, someone had discovered part of the truth, not Marcus, my Sarah. She came over unannounced while I was checking Alina V's messages. I had 3 browsers open, each logged into a different fake persona. She stood in my doorway holding wine bottles and said, "What the hell am I looking at?" I slammed the laptop shut. Told her it was for a social media marketing project at work. She didn't believe me. I could see it in her face. The pity, the confusion, the dawning realization that I wasn't the person she thought. She left the wine and left my apartment. I messaged her 3 times that night. She read them and didn't reply. At 24%, I dropped my own breadcrumb about the ultimate secret. While uploading photos to Alina V's profile, I realized I'd need more personal content to make her seem real. I couldn't use the barista anymore, too risky. I needed someone whose life I actually knew. Someone whose photos would stand up to scrutiny. I opened the folder I'd stolen from Marcus's laptop and stared at the dead girl's face. That's what she was. I knew it immediately. The way he looked at her in those photos wasn't how anyone looks at a living person. It was worship mixed with grief. I should have stopped. Instead, I saved 3 of her hiking photos to my desktop. She was blonde, athletic, smiling at the camera like she had all the time in the world. She had Marcus's dead ex-girlfriend's face. The consequences started escalating at 25%. Marcus noticed I was distant. He asked if I was sleeping enough. He found me at his laptop one morning and his whole body went rigid. "What are you doing?" he asked. I was checking Alina V's notifications. I closed it fast. "Just checking my email," I said. He changed his password that day. I know because I tried to get back in that night and couldn't. The social dimension started creeping in. He posted less frequently. Stopped tagging locations. Made his account private. I took this as confirmation of guilt rather than what it was, a man setting boundaries because his girlfriend had become a ghost haunting his digital life. At 28%, the situation spiraled in a way I hadn't anticipated. Marcus's sister, who I'd met twice, sent me a DM on my real account. "Hey, just checking in. Marcus seems stressed. Is everything okay with you guys?" I stared at that message for 20 minutes, paralyzed. She was checking on me, not him. The support system I'd barely noticed was already sensing the rot. I replied with a smiley face and just work stuff. She left me on read. That night, Marcus came over and sat me down. "I feel like you're not here lately," he said. "Like you're somewhere else when we're together." I almost laughed. I was everywhere else. I was 3 different women messaging him at all hours, waiting for him to slip. 32% brought my worst decision yet. I'd been using the dead ex's photos for Alina V, but I needed more. So I reverse image searched her face and found her old social media profiles, still active, memorialized by her family. I scrolled through 2 years of posts. Her mother still wrote birthday messages to her wall. Her friends tagged her in memories. I stole a photo from a 2019 camping trip. In the caption, her friend wrote, "Missing your laugh, M." I used it anyway. I gave Alina V a laughing emoji caption. The dramatic irony here was so thick I could have choked on it. I was so afraid of being betrayed that I was literally impersonating a dead woman to test my living boyfriend's loyalty. The moral math didn't just not add up, it was a different language entirely. At 35%, I left the breadcrumb that would undo everything. Alina V sent Marcus a message, "Just moved here, looking for climbing buddies. Your photos look amazing." He replied faster than I'd ever seen. "Thanks, been climbing for years. Where are you from?" This was it, the crack in the armor. I felt vindicated and sick simultaneously. I responded as Alina, originally from Portland, still getting to know the city. He wrote back, "Portland's beautiful. Lost someone special there a few years ago. It's a place with good memories and hard ones." I stared at that message for an hour. He was talking about Emily, to a fake version of Emily. I should have ended it right there. Instead, I wrote, "Sounds like a story worth hearing sometime." He replied, "Maybe. Some stories are too personal for DMs." I screenshotted it and convinced myself this was proof he was emotionally cheating. because acknowledging grief to a stranger is apparently a betrayal now. The breaking point started at 37%. I became physically unable to function outside this digital triangle. I stopped answering work emails. I let my own social media go dark. My mother called and I sent her to voicemail. I was living inside a lie that had its own gravity, and the real world was just static. Marcus tried to plan a weekend trip. Airbnb confirmation came to his email, which I still had access to because he'd saved the password on his tablet. I logged in and canceled it, told him work had got crazy for me. He looked at me like I was a stranger and said, "You don't even ask what I need anymore." He was right. I only asked what my fake selves needed from him. At 42% came the major confrontation. Marcus came over with his phone in his hand, shaking. "Someone's catfishing me," he said. 3 different accounts, all acting weird, and one of them knows things. I felt my blood turn to ice water. What things? I managed. He showed me the messages from Alina V. She referenced a trip to Bend. I only took that trip with Emily. I never posted those photos, so either someone's stalking me or he trailed off. I could see him running through possibilities, none of them landing on me because who does that? Who weaponizes their boyfriend's dead girlfriend? I said, "That's so creepy, you should report them." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the first crack of doubt. "Yeah," he said slowly. "Maybe I should." 48% was when my support system officially crumbled. Sarah called my actual phone. "I'm going to say this once," she said. "You need professional help. What you're doing isn't normal, it's not okay, and if you don't tell Marcus, I will." I hung up on her. Sent her a text, "You're overreacting. It's not what you think." She replied, "I saw the memorial page you had open. I saw her face on your fake profile. Don't contact me again until you're in therapy." I deleted the message and blocked her number. I didn't need her judgment. I needed Marcus to fail the test so I could be right about men, so I could be right about pain. At 53%, someone got hurt by my continued deception, and it wasn't Marcus. It was Emily's mother. I know because I was still monitoring her memorial page, and she posted, "Someone is using Emily's photos on a fake account. If you see this person, please report them. Our daughter's memory is not a costume." I read that and felt nothing. That's the scary part. I'd crossed so many lines that crossing another felt like routine. I just created a 4th account using a different dead person's photos from a different memorial site. I'm not even sure who she was, just a girl who died young and had public photos. I gave her a name and a personality and started following Marcus's friends to seem more legitimate. I was a grave robber building a digital dollhouse. 58% brought the direct question I couldn't answer. Marcus texted me, "Did you ever meet someone named Alina, or Sarah, or Maya?" I stared at my phone for 40 minutes. Typed and deleted 17 responses. Finally wrote, "No, why?" He replied, "Just weird stuff happening. Feels like someone close to me might be involved." I could have confessed, could have ended it. Instead I wrote, "That's paranoid. Who would do that?" He didn't respond. I checked Alina V's profile, he'd blocked her. I recreated her with a slightly different username within the hour. At 61%, I set up the biggest revelation. I'd been keeping a spreadsheet. This is embarrassing to admit, but I had a color-coded document tracking which fake account messaged when, what Marcus replied, which photos got the most engagement, which backstory seemed most believable. It was a science experiment, and he was the rat. I'd even noted that Emily's photos got the most response from him, faster replies, longer messages, more emotional content, so I leaned into it. I created a 5th account, Rachel M., using more of her photos, and messaged him, "I knew Emily. She talked about you, said you deserved happiness." I sent this at 2 a.m. He was online. He read it immediately. He replied, "Who are you? How dare you use her name?" I responded, "Someone who wants you to move on, someone who sees you're stuck." He blocked Rachel M. within seconds. I screenshotted the conversation and added it to my evidence folder. The worst truth began at 62%, when I decided to fulfill the promise I'd made in the opening. I was going to show Marcus he'd failed. I'd print out all the messages where he responded to fake accounts. I'd show him the pattern of his emotional infidelity. I'd use his dead girlfriend's photos as proof that he was still attached to the past, still vulnerable, still cheating in his heart. I organized everything into a binder, 50 pages of screenshots, cross-referenced timelines. I was going to present it like a lawyer, like this was a trial and I was the prosecution. I had no idea I was actually building my own confession. At 67%, the full confession began, not from me but from Marcus. He showed up at my door with Emily's mother. I didn't know it was her at first. Just a woman about my mother's age, holding a tablet, looking at me with a grief so deep it felt like a physical weight. Marcus said, Emily's mom found the account using her daughter's photos. She traced the IP address. I stood there, holding my binder of evidence, and felt the universe invert. All the power I'd thought I had evaporated. I was just a girl in a doorway, caught wearing a dead person's face. The most damning detail dropped at 72%. Emily's mother turned the tablet toward me. It was Rachel M's profile. This girl, she said, her voice shaking, doesn't exist, but these photos are my daughter's and the messages. She scrolled to the one I'd sent. She talked about you, said you deserved happiness. Emily's mother looked at Marcus, then at me. Emily died in a car accident. She didn't talk to anyone in her final weeks. She was in a coma. The room tilted. I realized I'd constructed a narrative so detailed, so specific, that I'd forgotten it was fiction. I told a dead girl's mother that her daughter had consciousness, opinions, words she'd never spoken. I'd stolen not just photos, but finality. I'd given a mother false hope and fresh grief in the same breath. The first major consequence hit at 77%. Marcus didn't yell. He just looked at me like I was a stranger who'd broken into his house and rearranged all his furniture. You used Emily, he said, not a question, a statement of fact. You went into my private files, stole photos of the person I lost, and used them to, what, test me? I started to explain, started to show him my binder. Look, I said, flipping pages. You responded to them, you engaged. He took the binder from my hands, looked at one page, then dropped it on the floor. I knew they were fake from the second one, he said. I was trying to figure out who was harassing me. I thought it was Emily's ex-friend, someone with a grudge. I never thought it was you. The word harassing landed like a punch. I'd been harassing him for months. The final shoe dropped at 80%. Emily's mother spoke again. We hired someone to track the accounts. All 5 of them. The IP address is yours. The device is yours. The pattern. She didn't finish. She didn't have to. I thought about the spreadsheet, the science experiment, the evidence folder. I'd created a digital paper trail so thorough it had convicted me before I even knew I was on trial. Marcus said, I need you to understand something. Emily's photos weren't just photos to me. They were the last things I had. And you turned them into bait. You turned my grief into a game. He paused. And the worst part is, I think you actually believe you're the victim here. The aftermath began at 81% with concrete fallout in 4 areas. First, my relationship. Marcus left that day and I never saw him again. His sister returned my things in trash bags. Second, my reputation. Sarah told everyone. Not just that I'd made a fake account, but that I'd used a dead woman's identity. The specificity made it viral within our circle. Third, my job. I worked in marketing. My boss heard the story. Sarah's brother worked there, and I was let go for violating company ethics policies about digital identity. Fourth, my mental state. I stopped sleeping. Started seeing Emily's face in crowds. Created a 6th account using her photos and messaged myself, trying to understand what I'd been chasing. At 85% came the unexpected consequence I hadn't anticipated. Emily's family didn't just consider legal action, they filed a civil suit for emotional distress and unauthorized use of likeness. Their lawyer sent me papers. I had to hire a defense attorney I couldn't afford. The case was eventually dropped when I signed an agreement to never contact them or use her images again, but the legal fees cost me my savings. I moved back in with my mother, who cried when I told her why. Not for me, for Emily's mother. You gave a grieving parent new things to grieve, she said. I had no defense. At 89%, genuine self-awareness broke through the defensive armor I'd built. I was sitting in my childhood bedroom, scrolling through Emily's memorial page, the real one, not the fakes I'd made. Her mother had posted a video of Emily singing at a talent show when she was 16. She was terrible but joyful. The comments were full of love. I realized I'd never asked Marcus about her. Not really. I'd stolen her face before I knew her name. I'd weaponized his loss before I understood its weight. The test I'd designed wasn't about loyalty. It was about my inability to believe anyone could love me more than they loved a memory. I'd been competing with a ghost I created. At 92%, my current state is this: I live in a studio apartment my mother pays for. I work at a coffee shop where nobody knows my last name. I haven't had a real relationship in 2 years. I check Marcus's profile sometimes. He's private now, but his bio says engaged to Lena, I assume, the coworker from the notifications. They have a dog. He looks happy. I don't message him. I don't create fake accounts. I did go back to therapy, though my therapist says I have a persecutory complex paired with anxious attachment. I say I have consequences. Every time I think about dating again, I remember the binder, the spreadsheet, the moment Emily's mother looked at me and saw not a person, but a violation. I'm telling this story now because yesterday, Marcus posted a public photo for the first time in years. It's him and Lena on a beach. The caption says, "Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what matters." The comments are full of congratulations. Someone wrote, "So glad you moved on from that psycho ex." He liked the comment. And for the first time, I understood my test didn't prove his disloyalty. It proved he was loyal to the truth, even when the truth was that the woman he loved had become someone he didn't recognize. He didn't fail me. I failed him. I failed Emily's memory. I failed myself. People keep asking if I still think I was right to be suspicious. The answer is complicated. Yes, I found something I shouldn't have, his private grief. Yes, he responded to messages from strangers, which in a different context might be questionable. But what I actually learned is that loyalty isn't a test you pass or fail. It's a thing you build, and I demolished it with forensic precision. So here's the moral ambiguity. Marcus kept photos of his dead girlfriend on his laptop. That's a boundary issue. I stole them and impersonated her. That's a crime against humanity. Who's worse? The person who clings to the past, or the person who desecrates it to soothe their own insecurity? You decide. I'm done hiding.